All right, and once again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We'll be going over our sales tax module. With me, Sean Taggart, I have Ian Alano, Director of Product. And as always, we will be taking questions at the end, but you can type your questions in at any time using the questions panel seen here on your GoToWebinar screen. Also, below that, we do have some handouts readily available for you guys to go ahead and start, downloading this presentation here, as well as a one-pager that goes over what we'll be talking about today, which is the M.O.M sales tax module. So to start off, we're going to give you a brief, rundown of, once again, the recent tax rulings and challenges that we've been seeing with those rulings that come in place. Obviously, for some, this may be the first time you're joining in on any of these webinars that we've done. Starting almost a month ago, we started talking about this. Then we're going to talk about the module itself. Ian's going to go ahead and show it off and show it all in action. We'll be discussing pricing today, and then we'll be answering those questions as they come in at the end of the webinar. So once again, talking about the South Dakota versus Wayfair trial, obviously the Supreme Court ruled in favor of South Dakota. That means that the Supreme Court decided that sales tax nexus or physical presence is not required to collect sales tax. The recent ruling now allows South Dakota to collect sales tax from online sellers if they have gross sales of more than 100,000 in the state or over 200 individual sales in the state over a calendar year. Now, this runs for South Dakota. A lot of the states are also following suit and doing the same thresholds, but obviously, and we'll share the links and stuff like that at the end, other states are going to be following their own ruling and their own thresholds that you guys have to be aware of. So what does that mean for the rest of the states? Then, like I mentioned, sales tax can be declared by online sellers with economic nexus to collect state sales tax. The economic nexus is the threshold set by each state on the gross amount of sales and or volume of transactions. State thresholds range from anywhere between $10,000 to $500,000 in sales, and then state thresholds for transactions range anywhere from none to 200. And then some of these rulings and the effects have been in place and backdated all the way as of early 2017 and could be finalized by early 2019. Like I said, we will be sharing some links and information of where you can go to find that information near the end of the webinar. That way you guys have the idea and understanding of where to, follow along and see what's been going on in terms of what states have been saying what in terms of the economic nexus. So some of the challenges to all this is really how to comply to each economic nexus. You have to make sure you're identifying which states that will need to collect the state sales tax, updating all the tax rates from all the states, county, and city that meet state economic nexuses, and then also the reporting and filing for each state which tax is collected. On top of that, tax rates and everything can change, just keeping up to date and keeping sure that you're on top of all the state requirements, rules for each state. So what we've done is now we've created and introduced a module that will be in multi-channel order manager. We'll include a Nexus threshold report, which Ian will show in a little bit. Going over the report, we'll go over the total gross sales and number of transactions per state, and then we'll give you the ability to import your tax rate feature. Contains all the updated tax rates for all your states, allows users to pick or move states that they need to collect sales tax on. This is updated either monthly or quarterly. Nice thing about this too is any updates that occur, anything that you need to add and remove, we can also go ahead in there and adjust it for you. And that's something that Ian will show during our demonstration today. We want to make sure that you guys are fully aware if this is how we're going to handle it. This is what we're going to be doing for you guys. And like I said, this is part one of the sales tax ruling. We're still in discussion, and just to be open, we're looking at Avalera, Taxar, some of the two connections that we're looking into to actually directly connect to their APIs to also help you with the next step, which is filing for that, because this will only collect, this won't help you file this module. But we're also looking at, other services that are out there to help do the next step for you if necessary. So obviously, with that being said too, we're going to be also looking at how the sales tax module will impact your economic e-commerce website. Obviously with SiteLink, we'll publish that tax rate from M.O.M to SiteLink, and if it's coming from a third-party site like a BigCommerce, Magento, Shopify, you have to make sure that your tax rates are updated on the site itself, and then what it will do is we'll import that rate into M.O.M using the use tax flag. This will actually be available in M.O.M's versions 8 through 10, and then we expect to release this by the end of this month. Now, just to note, and before I hand it over to Ian, who's going to show this, this does require an active support contract to be on, so you just have to make sure that your support's updated and current to continue getting those updates for you. With that being said, I'm actually going to throw it over to Ian right now, who's going to show us how it runs and how it operates and how to update everything like that. If you guys have joined in just now as well, just letting you guys know this is actually being recorded and will be shared with you guys first thing tomorrow morning. So don't worry, you guys have the ability to go ahead here and review everything, share this with your team if necessary. But without further ado, I'm going to give this to Ian, who will be showing you the module in action. Ian.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon, everybody. So today we're going to be showing a demo on phase 1, what we've done. So like Sean said, we're going to be doing a phase 1 for the tax module, and here's what comes with the phase 1. Sean mentioned we have a zip code update that will update your current zip code. If there's any missing zip code there, that will be added to the system as well. First thing that you would want to do is update the zip code, and then you'd run what we call the Nexus threshold report. And all this report does is really, we automatically inputted the starting date and ending date. Obviously, you can change this depending on what you require, but it takes it from a year from yesterday. So I could change that if I wanted to, and then I can sort the result set based on state or totals, revenue, or transaction count. You can also check the box where it shows the state meeting the threshold at top, so meaning that if it meets one of the threshold as far as revenue or transaction, it will display on the top of the report. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. I'm going to do state and process here. My system's a demo, so that's pretty quick. And you can see my main presence is in New Jersey. So you can see that goes on top automatically because it met one of the criteria. I know the economic nexus, there are so many different laws or definition on it, if it's retail, wholesale, or this is a revenue and or transaction. So what we did is, this is pretty generic. The idea for this report is really just to get you a sense on which state you should start looking into, and then from there you can go talk to a financial advisor or a tax advisor and say, hey, how do we go about collecting in New Jersey, or do we need to collect in New Jersey because this is my numbers now. So again, this is not the M.O.M report. This gives you a sense on where you should be or where you think you should be collecting. And then, again, I want to emphasize that you should be talking to a financial advisor or a tax advisor after you see this report. But once this report is completely ran, you can see that we have the different threshold reports, our economic nexus on the right-hand side, and this is the actual transactions that you have in M.O.M. So once you run that, you can then easily go to the next part of this module, which is to import the tax itself. So when you do that, we saw that New Jersey was one of the states I have, and you can see California was already added here. What we did is we actually got a feedback from one of our clients. I don't know if James is on, but I spoke to James this week and pointed out that on an update for this, so what we're planning to do with this is that every month we give you a program update, and every month then you would have to pick and choose the different states that you would have to update, depending on what your nexus are. So what we actually did was, once you update the state once, we'll keep it for you here, so the next time you run it, it's going to be automatically there on the right-hand side, so all you have to do is hit process here. And at this point, this would all add all the nexus that we need for those particular states. So once this is done, I'll walk you through the example of California, because California has a main jurisdiction up to the city level, so you can see the breakdown how the tax is imported. So if you go to the tax tables here, and we go United States, we check out California. You can see there's a 0.725 on the state level. Then if you go to the counties, you can see all the some of the counties that have rates are filled in. And if you go here to the city level, that's also filled in. So if you had to collect in California, this is the things that you would have to do manually. You would have to go to the state, put in the 725, put in the 1% on this particular county, Marin, and then on the city levels, San Rafael, then you would have to actually put the 0.75, and you would have to keep that up to date. So there's a challenge there. So this particular module will help you in that sense, where it will actually put all the information in there for you on the state, county, and zip level. If you go to New Jersey is pretty simple in this case. It's just the 6.625. We don't really have much county rates and nothing on the zip code rates. So that's why I picked California to kind of emphasize that some states does have a breakdown on the state, county, and zip level as far as the tax rates go. So again, that's phase one. Pretty straightforward. Really does just give you a way to import or remove sales tax depending if you don't want to collect there anymore. And it does give you a report that allows you to figure out where you think you should start the conversation with the financial advisor or tax advisor on where you should be collecting or reporting tax. That's phase one. Let's see if we have any questions on that at all. We'll review that right now and then move on. See some questions here.
So, I mean, like Ian said, we do have a couple of questions. Bonnie, thank you for asking some questions. Now, she wants to know in the report, will it show both taxable and exempt sales, or will it only just be showing your taxable sales?
Should be just the taxable sales, but I can double check that, Bonnie, with our development. But last I spoke to them, it was the taxable sales on that report, and also the number of transactions that we have for those sales.
On states where shipping is exempt, is that imported also? That's from Chris.
State exempt. Chris, can you elaborate on that question a little bit more?
And then we did get a couple here from Tom. Once you hit Nexus for a state, are you supposed to be collecting and remitting to the state throughout the rest of the year? Yeah,
I mean, Tom, to answer that question, if you actually have to look at some of the links that we're going to provide, where some of the rules actually says prior 12 months, and some rules will say current calendar year. So it really depends on the state itself. But yeah, once you hit those thresholds based on the prior 12 months or the current calendar year, yes, you're supposed to start collecting tax for that particular state.
And then finally, once again from Tom, how often did you say you'll be providing updates to import, and is there a cost with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, there's a cost to the module, so it's an annual cost, and it will be provided every month as far as if there's any changes to the state's rates or the county rates, we'll provide that every month via a program update.
And, you know, I'm just going to take my screen back real quick, and once again, thank you for showing that. Since the question of price did come up, I didn't want to mention pricing here. There is going to be an annual subscription price of $1,295. We are running a promotion right now from now until October 31st. Your first year will be $995, and then it will be the normal subscription price of $1,295 thereafter. Like I said in the beginning when we were discussing the version that's going to be available for, this is required for you guys to be on an active support contract. So feel free to reach out to your solution specialist, which is, you know, Lamont. Lamont Bird will be able to, you know, get you guys set up with the tax module and get you guys ready for that. Like I said, we are looking at an end-of-month release for the M.O.M sales tax module. Ian, if you have any more color to that, or we'll be ready by then.
Yeah, I mean, we're still targeting the end of this month, so we should be able to get a release out by October 1st on this. Currently, all development is completed. Everything's checked in. It's more QA. We're actually going through a couple beta testers and seeking feedback, make sure we cover all bases and see some feedback here now that I might consider. So Again, we're doing QA now and testing, and again, working with our beta clients to get more feedback to make sure, at least for phase 1, we cover anything that might be missing.
And then now we're going to take some time to answer some more of your questions. I see Chris did elaborate, and I saw you answered that.
Yeah, so
if you want to
just to reiterate Chris's question regarding it's a tax on shipping. So basically, each state will have a rule if shipping is taxable. That is something that we will import as part of that. So yeah, depending on which state, we'll import that particular flag to say if it's taxable or non-taxable.
All right. Can you keep rates imported visible but unchecked to charge for tax? That's from William.
I'm not totally following that question.
William, if you can give Ian and I some more clarity on your question, we'll be happy to answer that for you. And then Tom did ask in regards to the subscription, does that roll into the phase 2 implementation?
No, I mean, ideally you would only use one or the other. In phase 2, we are planning to connect to a third-party tax service. At that point, you don't necessarily need the rates in M.O.M. Because you're going to be calling out to the tax service to actually calculate the rates and bring it back to M.O.M. However, we are putting a little feature in phase 2 where, for some reason, the API call does fail. It will do the calculation based on the M.O.M tax table. So there might be some benefits on that, but I don't know if that's enough to keep subscriptions for phase 1 when you have phase 2 already.
Tom did add that we'll still need the Nexus report in phase 2.
Correct. So the Nexus report will be in phase 2, so you can, depending if you get module phase 1 or phase 2, you'll get the Nexus report with it.
Then, I mean, besides the, calculating and stuff like that, it'll also help with the filing and stuff for that.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of, so we're working on it. We're in the middle of development that as well, so there's a lot going on with phase 2. I mean, the basic overview, like Sean said, it will help real-time calculation with order entry and order import, but it will definitely help with filing. So with the filing part of it, we're looking to file what's invoiced already. So basically anything that's invoiced that's been calculated via the third party will be sent out, or you can schedule to send it out. And we added a feature where you can actually go back, a couple of months to say, hey, I actually want to file this, even though it wasn't calculated by the third party. We can pick and choose. We'll give you an option to pick and choose different orders that you want to send over to the service so that you can file it there as well. So we're working on that. But there's a lot of things that we're working on to kind of reduce the number of calls to the third party, because a lot of those third party, or most of them actually, will charge you based on transactions. So a lot of the challenges that we're facing here is really reducing the number of calls over that to kind of be most cost effective as possible with the API calls.
Going back to Williams, because he did clarify it, and thank you for that, William. If you import the tax rates, say for Vermont, can you leave the tax rates by state, counties, and cities in place, but then check the boxes that have caused M.O.M to charge sales tax? It would be worthwhile to know rates for states where collection is not yet required, but maybe in the future.
No, because the way M.O.M works is that if you put the rates in there, as far as in our tax table, we will calculate, or we will collect tax on that. So the answer is no. Basically, if you're not collecting in Virginia, then we have a feature in M.O.M on that tax module to remove the different rates in Virginia. And when you're ready, you can easily just add it back in. So, but if you leave that in place, that it will charge tax or collect tax for you on those. So I would suggest not doing that.
So we did get a couple of questions here. I'm going to start with one from Bonnie. She has current stock items marked as exempt, but they might be taxable based on economic nexus. So it'd be nice to see both benefits. This goes back to earlier her question about showing exempt and non-exempt.
Yeah.
So that's actually not a bad suggestion.
Yeah, so that's something, I saw that question come up,
Yeah.
Bonnie, and that's why I kind of commented on, it's always good feedback from you guys on that, so that's something I'll check out with the development team and see if we can add something like that to the report, just to kind of show the taxable and non-taxable on that. But I think right now it's the taxable, but if it, like you said, it might be nice to see both anyway. on that.
So a couple of questions here. What's the advantage to this in comparison to the Avalara rate table API?
The only advantage really is the Avalara rate flat table, because they're pretty much selling the same thing. They give you a flat table, a flat file that you can import via our API plugin. The only difference is that when I showed you guys the tax module earlier, they won't include the Nexus report, and they won't have the zip code update. So it might be possible. It's not too common, but there might be a missing zip code in the system where it hasn't been updated, where the rate might not come in because there's nothing to update. So the main difference is that the Nexus stressor report and then the zip code update, and then obviously the ease of use. To in the Avalara route, you have to go through the API outside of M.O.M and then do that import that way, versus what I showed you today, where you can just pick and choose a different state or remove a state and update that way. So it's fairly quick.
All right. So a couple questions in regards to pricing. One of them is from Neil. Is the annual subscription price applicable for those who are on software for life?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's $12.95 annual. Again, Sean mentioned that we're running a promo for $9.95, so that's for everyone.
And then a couple more. Do we have the option of just using the tax collection report in M.O.M to file taxes in the few states necessary?
Yes, that sales tax collection report actually stays the same. So if you're currently using that, you can still continue doing that. Again, we did a webinar with Avalara, right? And when we did a poll, a lot of you guys, the merchants, are really thinking that you guys are in 5 or less states. So maybe filing in phase 2 might not be something that you guys necessarily need. So phase 1 might be sufficient enough. And then if that's the case, then of course they can still use the sales tax collection report to kind of get your information and then use that to file. I do want to add that something we are doing is to improve the sales tax collection report in M.O.M, because we are adding a feature with Amazon, where market facilitators, so where Amazon will start collecting tax on your behalf. So we wanted to capture that, so that way you're not remitting tax twice, because Amazon's collecting on your behalf. And we wanted to represent that on the sales tax collection. So while we're doing that, we're actually revamping some of the sales tax collection reporting to make that more efficient. It does take a little bit longer to run, and there's a couple of things that we saw that we can improve. So we're looking to improving that. Look for that. Not this current release, maybe the next release. So that's something my team is working on to improve. Are
tax rates published to the site link online stores by publishing store data? That's from John.
Yes. So if you go with phase 1, or you go with Avalara, where you import the tax rate, it is still importing our own tax table. So it's the same thing as you would, once you have that in the tax rate tables in M.O.M, you can take that and publish that to SiteLink.
Seeing a lot of questions about timing for phase 2.
Sure. We're still targeting phase 2 around probably mid-November to early December is the time frame I'm looking at, with all the development still needs to be done and the testing that we need to do. But we are starting to develop that now, so that the timing right now probably late Q4, probably something around there.
And then obviously some questions about pricing for phase 2 are being asked, and I know as Ian you mentioned you answered that question off the conversation here, but that's still something that's being discussed right now in terms of pricing for phase 2.
Yeah, that's still being internally discussed. I mean, we're trying to be sensitive, because we know that there's pricing on, you got something that you have to pay on the tax jar side, also on the Avalara side. So that's something that we're discussing, see how we can approach that. Regarding the phase 2, that won't be an annual fee. That's actually a one-time module fee. That's not a subscription like phase 1, where we're providing the updates for the actual tax rates. Phase 2, all we're doing is assigning you guys a module that will connect to a third party, and then at that point we will send all the information to the third party, where you can do the filing and the reporting that you might need.
Just the only thing that to point out there is just the additional maintenance charge attached to that module. That's the only thing you would have to worry about. Other than that, can the tables be updated while users are in M.O.M?
It can be. I'd rather not do that because if it's the order hasn't been invoiced yet, it might recalculate the tax, and at that point you might either undercharge or over. You might have to charge again the customer. So I would suggest that you do the updates to tax when everybody's out of the system. There's no orders being taken, and then do the update, complete that, and then you can have everybody back in if you're doing that during the day. But I would suggest maybe doing the end of the day, run that, and then next morning you'd be good to go.
Lastly, have we thought about making the Nexus report available to all, as it will help companies determine if they need to add phase 1 or 2?
We have not. That's an interesting concept there, Bonnie. So we definitely, I'll bring that up to the management team. That's something we can consider. But we have not thought that. We thought that would be part of phase 1, so that we can add value to that module. But yeah, makes sense too in that perspective.
I think we answered all the questions that we've had here so far. We'll take a quick 30-second pause to answer and see if any more questions come in, but if not, we'll give you back a half hour. All right, a couple more questions came in. Can you elaborate on how a third-party website would work with this scenario?
Third-party website. Okay. So if you're going with phase 1, you would have to make sure that the tax rates are the same on both M.O.M and the website, so that way you can come in. If not, you can actually have a third party talk directly to a tax service, or you can update the tax rates there, so that way when you import it into M.O.M, we have a flag called use tax, so that way we can respect whatever tax calculation is done on the website, and we'll respect that and not let M.O.M recalculate that tax information. That way it kind of respects the pricing or the tax calculation from the website, so there's no undercharge or overcharge for the customer.
We've had trouble with M.O.M being inconsistent in rounding taxes. Example, it will round down when the order is placed for a drop ship. Once it's dropped, M.O.M will want to add a penny in taxes. Is there any progress in rectifying this old issue? Yeah,
we actually heard this from a couple clients, James, and we are addressing this with all the tax stuff that we're changing. We looked at some of the tax tickets that come, around the tax issues, because we're looking at the tax code anyway. So we did see this one. We are fixing it. I think what we did so far is we actually released it as license specific just to test it out. But if you're interested, you can email support and CC me on it, ian.o@freestyle.solutions, and I can add you to the list so you can test it out and make sure that works for you. But we think we fixed it. We tested it on our side. That seems to be working. But right now we're releasing it by client just to test it out first.
Once again, that CC was ian.o@freestylesolutions.com. And then Lori asked a question, so we need to pay for the entire module before we can use the Nexus report, so we can determine if we need the tax module.
Yes, that's correct, Lori. I mean, Bonnie did made some suggestions there as far as making it available to everybody without the tax module, so that they can determine if they can use it for they need phase 1 or phase 2. So that's something I'll take back to my management team and discuss to see if that's something that we can do for you guys.
All right, and like I said, I think that was all of the questions here. And thank you everyone to ask questions. Oh, we got another one from William here. Does anything specific need to be done to apply the use tax parameter for imported orders, say from CV3?
I have not spoke to I think it's Ben over there yet, William, but they would have to make sure they adjust that import that they have to mark the use tax, and then pass in the S tax, the I tax, and the C tax if they broke it down by state, county, and zip. but they need to make sure they pass that flag down so that we don't have M.O.M recalculate. I don't know what the tax tables they have on CV3, so if they're the same, then you don't have to do that, but there might be a slight doubt that they might not be the same, then I would suggest talking to Ben over there and asking him to use the use tax. But I have not directly connected with Ben and let him know that.
All right. And then Brian did ask, I assume you can still manually enter the tax rates into M.O.M instead of importing?
Yes, you can definitely do that. Again, all the module does is take all the different states, jurisdictions that you might have for, let's say, California, and then import that tax for you. So then you can still have the flexibility to do that yourself. Again, that's needed because you guys know calculating tax by zip code is not the most accurate way of doing it. That's the way just M.O.M has been designed. It's been like that. So sometimes the tax might not be totally accurate. So then we give you a flexibility added in the tax table. And then if that's still not working, then that's where phase 2 will come in, because now we're actually calling a tax service and then calculating not based on zip code but the actual street address, and that will give you a much better or much accurate result versus the way we do it now with the zip code.
Okay, cool. And then, so we wanted to thank everyone for attending today. Obviously, feel free to ask myself or Ian more questions. You can email us directly at marketing@freestylesolutions.com. Ian, you shared his direct email if you want to email him directly as well, ian.o@freestylesolutions.com, but you can email the marketing box and we can forward it over appropriately. Once again, like we said, this will be available at the end of this month, September, with the first year running a special promotion from now until October 31st for the first year at $995, and then $1,295 thereafter. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask. This will be delivered to your inbox tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for that in terms of a copy of this webinar. And then, once again, you can download today's handout of the slide deck and also our one-pager about this. Thank you guys so much for attending, and we'll speak soon.